This is a bizarre conspiracy theory coming from this man. Like a genuine conspiracy theory. And it's created a few headlines. And it's created interviews with people in the tech world going, these kind of bots, it is possible, but no, that's not the situation here.
I believe
Who did you consult with in Māoridom?
Well, we had 144 iwi-based groups who submitted in our public consultation. If that's not enough, then I don't.
So they've had 144 iwi groups who have submitted to the last time the regulatory standards bill went through. So he's saying, well, we had 144, that's pretty good. Guyan's about to say, what did they say, those 144? And Seymour's about to go, well, that doesn't really matter. This is talk about hoisted by one's own petard, for sure.
Groups who submitted in our public consultation. If that's not enough, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, but what did they tell you? Because when I read it, it was 23,000 submissions, wasn't it? How many supported it?
That's irrelevant.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you why.
Let's have the answer first. And the answer is
76.
0.33%.
But here's the problem here.
0.33%.
Here's the problem. You're doing this show, and I hope you get some views on this one because you want to try.
But not 8,000 views. Some views, but don't go over 8,000 because that will make me look a liar.
Here's the problem. You're doing this show, and I hope you get some views on this one because you want to try and raise the standards of debate in New Zealand. Now, you're smart enough to know that those 23,000 submissions, 99.5% of them were because somebody figured out how to make a bot make fake submissions that inflated the numbers.
Yeah, they're a bot. They're bots. And apparently 99.5. So what that means is really, what he's saying is there's really only 76 that voted for it, but that means there's only like 76 that voted against it because it's 99.5% of bots. 100% they know that.
Getting in my face saying, hey, you failed. That's what you're trying to do. If you want to raise the standard of debate, we can dismiss it right now and say, yep, it's got easier and easier as time's gone on.
I asked you, I asked you what the consultation was. You responded by saying it was in the submissions.
Yep.
And I responded by saying, well, not even a third of 1% agreed with your bill.
Yeah, because that quantum reflects nothing more than the fact that it's got easier and easier for people to make really, frankly, fake submissions. They've got bots, they can make a submission, they're doing it right now in regulatory standards. It doesn't actually move the debate anywhere. If you want to have a discussion...
So just to point out again, undermining the media, then you can say they can't be trusted. Undermining the process, then you can say, they weren't real submissions. It's interesting he hasn't had anything to say about the 300,000 ones about the Treaty Principles Bill. He hasn't said anything about that, has he? But he hasn't said anything because maybe he's aware there's a much more vocal group that would come out to say to him that we're not bots. But this is what he's doing. He's now undermining the process. He's undermining how people submit. And the reason is he's doing that is so then he can dismiss it later on, like he's trying to do right now.
Discussion about the merits of the bill, then we can do that.
I think we are doing that.
Okay. So why did you bring up a percentage that you know is meaningless, that you know reflects nothing more than somebody managed to run a smart campaign with a bot? Why did you bring that up?
Well, how do you know that?
Because we've looked at them, because we know what the contents of them is.
So is it?
I was pretty sure that we had reports that they didn't look through those submissions. And now he's saying we looked at them. And just remember, if 76 yeses equal 0.33%, remember that? He said that. He also said there was 144 Māori iwi submissions. That's at least 0.66%. So it can't be 99.5. Those numbers don't add up. That means the two lots of numbers,
full of shit.
The two lots of numbers you've mentioned, David, the 76 literal double figures out of 23,000 that wanted to support you, and the 114, whatever it was, 140 Māori submissions that you got, that makes about 1%, right? And you're saying 99.5% were bots. So what you're saying is there wasn't a single submission that was against it. Because if you add those two up, you go beyond 99.5%. So Mr. Seymour, is it your position that there wasn't a single submission from a single person who was against the regulatory standards bill when it went through the first reading? Is that your position? Because that's literally what you're saying.
It's almost like Mr. 8% can't be trusted. That his numbers might be pulled out of his ass. This man just loves huffing his own farts too much. Like, if we want to talk about bots, let's be concerned about bots part of the submissions process, shall we? How about the new news that for the RSB, all the submissions are going to be reviewed by AI. They're not going to be read by the committee.
ChatGPT.
So, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. All right.
Like,
Hey,
I don't trust that process at all.
Yeah.
That an AI is going to go through there and accurately submit what people feel about an incredibly important piece of legislation. Like, they're going, oh, well, we can't possibly read them all. Well, make the fucking time.
The reason he's pulling numbers like, remember what he said? 99.5% of the submissions were bots. And the reason he's doing that is he can't even use what would be an extraordinarily high number, like 80% were bots. Because if 80% were bots, you'd still have 4,600 submissions against 76. You know, like 80% bots would be horrifically high. It would be a democracy breaking. But he can't even do that, because you'd then be able to say to him, well, so you've gone from 0.33% to 1%. So 1% support you, Mr. Seymour, and 99% don't. So, and as you've just seen, we've just added the numbers up from the numbers he gave us, and it got to more than 1%. So is 99.5% the lie? Is it 99? Is it 98? Is it 1? We don't know. We know he's not telling the truth because his own numbers don't allow that to be accurate.